one of the things that you've done recently is you've written, composed, and debuted a punk rock musical.
A musical.
A musical.
Yeah, it's not a punk rock musical.
Just a musical.
Yeah, there's maybe 5 punk songs out of 28.
Okay.
It's a traditional, it's a musical.
Well, how'd you get involved with musical theater?
The first thing I ever heard was Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was 8. I taped it off my TV. And I've never been involved with musical theater. I like it when a musical is good. And there's been so few good musicals, in my opinion. But when the one's good, like Hedwig, it just changes your world. So, I wrote 3 of the songs from this musical about 18 years ago now.
Wow.
And it was just on the back burner. And then I wrote 3 more and 3 more. And then 5 years ago, I started writing it with Soma Snake Oil. And we spent like a year really working on it and then finished the script. And then Jeff Marks from Avenue Q, he heard one song and he's like...
So you were a big fan of his?
Huge fan of Avenue Q.
Yeah.
And I've seen it 3 times before I met him. Met him once, he was really nice. I sent him one song and he's like, this song is incredible. Can I get involved? So that was about 4 years ago. So me, him, and Soma have been working our asses off for 4 years. I mean, it's crazy.
The amount of work.
Yeah, I had no idea. Jeff said it was going to take 4 or 5 years. I was like, no, dude.
Such a different project from music, from a band. Right?
Yeah, if you're in a band, imagine this. Imagine recording a record, being happy with it, and then playing it for some people, a bunch of people, and them all giving you all the criticisms, and you have to go back and fix all that. Doing that 20 times over 5 years. And the thing is, it keeps getting better, but people keep bringing up stuff like, why do you have this? And what about this? We have been playing it, like I said, you have to play it in front of audiences and see how it goes over, and things you thought were going to be hysterical are not. And you have to change the order of songs. You have to change the plot if something isn't working. But we played in Connecticut, and we had a room of senior citizens purposely.
Okay.
And nobody thought they were going to stay, or some of them, but every single one of them stayed through intermission and stayed for the Q&A, and they all loved it, which was very surprising.
Because this play goes to explores some dark...
Really dark. It's really dark. And
there's homelessness, sexual abuse.
Yeah, and, drug abuse, and of a lot of violence. But they said the songs kept us in it because the songs are so catchy and different than the juxtaposition to the story and the songs are so different that they were just blown away by it. And then we knew, like, we got something here. And we opened in San Francisco with the full production, and it was interesting because I thought my name being attached to it would sell tickets, and ticket sales were terrible. The first night sold out, and the other shows had like 15 tickets sold, out of a 300-seater. And after the first show, everything sold out. So word of mouth just went, and that was so awesome because we were like, oh my God, we've been working all these years on this, and it's a huge flop. But it turned out, like Larry Page and his wife came,
wow.
from Google.
Yeah.
We had all these just huge people that bought tickets at the end to see it. And it was, super rewarding.
Tell me about the content, the dark places that this thing explores. What was it? Tell me about that choice to go there.
Well, it's about street kids and how they got there and how they deal with it. And a lot of producers are having a problem with this. They keep telling us that no one's going to believe this. No one's going to believe that kids living on the street are having a good time. And we're not saying they all are, but I've stayed at squats, and Soma has lived on the street, and she's a dominatrix. She's a sex worker, and I know girls that were punk rockers and prostitutes. And you know what? No one is bummed. It's just what you had to do. And punk rockers we always had a good time. Look, NOFX was first starting. We were just staying on squats, people's floors, or just staying. We used to sleep under the van sometimes, but we always had a good time. It's different than most homeless people who are not having a good time because they lost everything or went crazy. But kids, they're just doing what they do.
Who's giving you that feedback that this is not believable?
Some producers on Broadway and writers. We invite a lot of writers to our readings, and what we hear from a lot, the regular people who come see the show, they're like, that was amazing, that was so great. But writers are like, I don't know who you think is going to believe this. Well, it's the truth. We just have to get them to believe it, but we're not going to change it like you would to make a story that's believable. So much on Broadway is just made up in someone's mind, and because they think people will like it, they make it palatable. I mean, we made it so the songs make it palatable, and our story. I mean, the whole thing is based on uh, chosen family. You know, we get to choose our family. You don't need to stick with the family you're stuck with. And if bad things happen to you when you're a kid, don't let it ruin your life. Uh, that happened to you. You didn't do anything wrong, and you can live a wonderful life. Just don't let that person or those people that that abused you ruin your life. And
Wait,
it's such a positive message, but people, it's a tough pill to swallow. Some of it's hard to watch.
the way you're describing this play kind of reminds me of melodic punk rock in the sense that you have these sort of sweet melodies, but the message that's involved might be, or the content might be quite challenging and difficult.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, drugs are, yeah, if you're a drug addict, that's no good. But if you're a drug user, that's not really such a problem if you're under control. And we also show the difference between all the people who are doing drugs every day, but they're legal because they're antidepressants or whatever, and people who do street drugs. And if I don't know, the only difference is you know exactly what you're getting with one of them, and one you can go to jail for, and one you don't. But people do drugs, and I just it's so crazy to me how people make a differential. How they think, oh, you do that? That's so bad. I can't believe you're doing that. I do this. You know, I'm on Zoloft and I'm fine. But you take ecstasy, you're a loser. And it's the same thing. They both do the same exact thing to your brain. They release, serotonin and whatever else, just different doses.
Why do you think people make those distinctions?
It's because people like to look down on other people. And that's another thing we do. It was so amazing when we opened in San Francisco because there was a homeless couple living across the street from the theater. They were in a tent, and we heard them fighting one night. And there was a girl and a guy, and it was scary. So someone I went over and I had a baseball bat to make sure she was okay. And we're like, "What's the matter? What's going on?" She said, "I'm hungry, and he won't get me any food." So we had some burritos. So we gave him a 6-pack and a burrito, and talked to them for a while. And we invited them to the next show. And they came in and they loved it. And they were like, "Yeah, I'm a writer," and I forget what the guy did, but we're down on our luck and we're living in this tent because we got kicked out of our place. And they're just normal people like everybody else, but and they were just stoked. Thanks for the beer and the burritos. Just normal people, and they love the show. You got it exactly right. We don't know why everyone looks so down upon us. We're just people, and that's what we're really trying to get there. We're trying to get the people. Yeah, they're down on their luck. It doesn't make them any different from you.
Have you seen that content explored and done well before?
I don't think so, and not in a fun way. But the same thing is, they're partying. They're having a good time sometimes. Some nights are not good, but just because you're on the street doesn't mean that your life is over. Especially if you're young.
One last question. What have you learned from the process of doing this musical?
That was a huge lesson for me, because when Soma invited them to the show, I'm like, "You're gonna invite them to the show?" She's like, "Yeah, why not?" And I really thought like, "Oh, that's kind of weird." And then after I met him and talked to him, I was like, "Man, what's wrong with me? I'm writing a show about this," and I just learned a lesson. Like, yeah, they're, and she still talks to him. She got their phone number.
That's awesome.